There's a lot of poor business owners. As I said, I don't know that there's any in this room. So if I look at you, it's not because I know anything about you. But sometimes poor in money, sometimes poor in mind, causing them to do business in ways they don't like. We're going to talk about that too. But we are definitely going to talk about more money. I really do hope that's why you came. It's one of my favorite topics, and I have a couple of big things to say about it. So one, in case you don't know the stats, 100 years ago, people making $1 million a year in the United States, there were 3. In 2012, there's 2.5 million earning 7-figure incomes, and that number keeps going up. Okay? Now that's good news if you understand why money flows to those people and doesn't flow to so many others. And so money has a mind of its own. People don't really think about money in a personalized way. I know Kevin, who was here with you this morning, Kevin likes to say money speaks to me. I like to think I have a very good relationship with money. That was not always the case. I listened to money. I learned from money. And some of the things I'll share with you tonight have to do with what money has taught me, initially painfully, and then more pleasantly as time went on. So just for 10 seconds, I want you to, first of all, make sure you know who this person is. And then I want you to think about this person for a second. Just think, okay? Something this person probably does not do. Just think about this person, okay? So is there anyone in the room who does not know who she is? Anybody? No one wants to claim it. Okay, so everybody knows her. You probably caught in the news 2 weeks ago now, she and her clan renewed their contract with the E-Network for $100 million for the next 3 years. Now, they do have to share it. Kim gets the biggest share because she has the biggest. This goes better, by the way, if you stay right with me. So I just want to repeat the number for you. $100 million for the next 3 years to the Kardashians, okay, who have, as near as we all can tell, no skill and no talent. Okay? However, they have enormous value. And remember, money has a mind of its own. So a lot of people get themselves in trouble because they disapprove of the way money behaves. We say to ourselves, $100 million to the Kardashians is outrageous. It's obscene. It's unfair. It's unjust. We don't approve of it. Money doesn't give a crap whether we approve of what it thinks or not, but it does think, and it does as it damn well pleases, and as it thinks is appropriate. So one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is your job one in business, which is to organize everything that you do, starting with what you think, to be in alignment with why and how money moves from person to person and place to place. Now, I'm a marketing guy essentially, but this is an underlying premise. A lot of people leave out of all their marketing. They're like into advertising and marketing before they ever think about this premise. They're into selling before they ever think about this premise. Okay? And this premise is very important because money moves from person to person and place to place for reasons that are identifiable, they are detectable, and it is possible to get in alignment with them. Oh, our friend is back. So the second, hey, At least she's not flying in my mouth. So, the second, 40 years, you take solace where you can, you know? I mean, so, second big thing we're going to talk about tonight that is as important, if not more important in my mind than more money, is more autonomy. Okay? And autonomy is a very important thing because it keeps you from becoming disgusted and frustrated and unhappy with how you make your money. And there are enormous numbers of people, lawyers, for example, for good reason, tend to wind up unhappy with how they make their money. Okay? Other people totally give up control in order to get their money. Okay? You are all owners, so you don't have that, but your staff does, right? We tell them what time they have to be there, what time they can leave, how much we will pay them. Some businesses, we get to tell them what they'll wear. Okay? So often people build a business in such a way that it winds up owning them instead of them owning it. And they sacrifice their autonomy for their money. For the record, autonomy is doing business, doing what you want, when you want to do it, where you want to do it, with who you want to do it, at the price you want to do it, and at the times you want to do it. Now, almost everybody thinks that's impossible in their business, and I promise you, we've made it happen in hundreds of businesses, and in fact, one of the biggest surprises to people is that money and autonomy go hand in hand. They are not in conflict. Many people think they are in conflict, that they must make a trade. Okay? So a lot of people in professional service businesses, for example, think that they must be instantly and always accessible to everybody. They think this. Their clientele thinks it because they think it. But I will demonstrate to you as we go along, it really is not necessary. So here's a little test. Who knows what that number is? Oh, good for you. The guy says 77.5. Good for you. If you want to attempt to be funny, what you do is you get an audience and you get a microphone and you, okay. Does anybody know what the number represents? No, don't we wish? Okay, well, it's good I came then because this is a very important number. This is the life expectancy of the American male. American female is slightly higher. They kill us. But it's close, okay? So this is your life expectancy. So now just do some quick math. Wise ass over here who said 77.5, you should be able to do the math, okay? But I'll give you an example. If you happen to be 49.5 right at the moment, it means you have 28 years left. And if you take out the time that you're going to spend sleeping, eating, and defecating, the defecating time has something to do with the amount of the eating time. There's a correlation. The time that you're going to spend paying taxes and paying bills and standing in line and everything else, you, sir, if you are 49.5 at this moment, have 16.8 years left, and that's all you got. If you are older, that number is less. If you are my age, you are at the point where you eat dessert first. Now, you never know, man. So, the question then is, how much of that time you have left, which is a lot less than you thought 5 minutes ago, how much of that time that you have left do you want to spend doing anything you don't want to do? Putting up with anybody you can't stand. That client who you have to get off the phone from and then march around your office throwing things. how much of your time left, say it's not just about the money you make. Here's where these two things go together. It's not just about the money you make, it's about how you make the money. This is a very important thing. So a lot of business owners, they get up in the morning and here's what they think about every morning. How can I make more money? How can we sell something? How can we get an account? How can we create growth? How can we bring in enough money to pay the bills? That's what some business owners think. But pretty much they get up every morning and they get out of bed and they start thinking about how to make money. Hardly anybody gets up every morning and thinks about how to make more autonomy. This is not part of everybody's thinking. I'm suggesting it should be part of yours. Very quickly, here are all the enemies of autonomy. So there are all of the negative influences of other people who get in the way of autonomy. Big ones, industry norms. We're going to talk a little bit about that. The work-money link, ingrained in people's heads, that there is some sort of correlation. There is some sort of apportionment between the work we do and the money that we get, which would preclude the Kardashians from getting $100 million over the next 3 years. Fear, weakness, refusal to repel people who interfere with our autonomy. All sorts of self-sabotage, implementing strategy and tactics that are actually incongruent with the way you want to live. There is an art and a science to conducting business on your terms. I just want to brag for a moment. And my methodologies existed when I, quote, quote, could not afford them. I can now, but in part because I did them when I could not afford them. So I choose my clients, and I fire them as need arises. This very year, I have fired 2, one of which required me to give back an $80,000 retainer. And I will tell you that's painful. If you've given back money to pay somebody to go away, you've either been divorced or you approach clients the way I approach clients, and you know it's painful. But it is not nearly as painful as a relationship with a client who robs you of your autonomy. So I choose my clients. I have my entire business life arranged around my non-business pastime. So some of you like to play golf, some of you whatever. I race horses. Harness, not the kind you sit on their backs, the kind you sit in these little sulkies. That's me, by the way, right there. And I race horses. I have 26 of them. And we race 4 nights a week, year-round. And I have my whole schedule arranged to facilitate that. Clients have to come to me in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, actually halfway between Cleveland and Akron. So they have to schlep out from the airport into the middle of nowhere. And the consulting days have to be done by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so I have time to gulp some food, get to the track, put on my duds, blow the breathalyzer, which they require us to do, by the way, and be in quarantine until it is time to start the race. See, most people, Kevin probably mentioned his wineries today. He likes to tell everybody about his wineries. Most people wait to get their winery, whatever it is, until they retire. And most of them never get them. How many of you have been on a cruise? Oh, there you go. Good for you. You're like the only ones who were on there who weren't like dead. Right? I mean, the cruise ship is sort of God's waiting room. It's, you know, why? Because they've waited until they were done with everything else in order to take the cruise. By the way, there are people on those cruises. The next time you go, watch them. They actually have figured out it's cheaper to be on a cruise than it is in a nursing home. Okay? On a per day rate, it's actually cheaper. Okay? And there's entertainment, there's better food, there's a doctor on board, and if you die, No funeral expense. So most people wait to get their winery, whatever it is, until the end. I suggest you arrange your business life to allow you to have it now. I work entirely free of interruptions and disruptions. I talk on the phone 2 days a month. Now, most of you are carrying around a device that you think has made you free. I told somebody the other night who was complaining about that particular problem, I said, you should go home and get your contract out that came with that thing. You'll find it on about page 6 in 2-Point Invisible. It says you own the phone. It doesn't say the phone owns you. It didn't buy you, dimwit. You bought it. Turn it off. How many of you remember when we had landlines and you had a wall phone in the kitchen? I used to joke then about people, they'd be in a bathtub and get out of a bathtub dripping wet to go answer the phone, or stop sex to go answer the phone on the kitchen wall phone, and I thought that was sick. Now, people don't stop ever, ever, ever. Women, you won't know this. In the men's room, first of all, if you've never been into a men's room, you ought to go once just to see it. Okay? So there's either urinals, these things on a wall side by side, and guys pee into them, or in some of them there's one big trough. Okay? Either way, what now goes on in the men's room, I kid you not, if you ever thought men were morons, this is the proof. They are peeing and talking on their cell phones at the same time. Now, they have more physical dexterity than you thought, so the next time one of them tells you they can't hang a picture, if they can manage to pee and use a phone at the same time, they can hang a picture. So don't let them get away with it. Okay? However, if you keep an eye on them, a lot of them have wet shoes. So I talk on the phone 2 days a month. Everybody makes an appointment, and they wait. Robin can swear to it. There's other people in this room who can swear to it. And I've done it for years. In businesses, everybody says you can't do that. No interruptions, no unscheduled inbound calls, no nothing. Now, when like if you're with me for a day of consulting, you'll be there all day. Phone won't ring. Nothing will happen. It's you and me, baby, for the whole day. When you're not there, if it's a writing day, it's writing all day long. Nobody interrupts. Guess what? I get more done in an hour than most everybody gets done in a week, because I don't let myself get interrupted. Every client comes to me. I have not done a proposal in 32 years. I have the copy of the last one I did. I don't do proposals. I don't negotiate. I have no receivables. By the way, you might want to make a side note of that. Rich people get paid in advance. Poor people get paid after they do the work. That's a real useful note. It is. So think about it. Laborers, people who work for wages, what do? They work all week at the convenience store, and then they get a paycheck. So that's how poor people live. Rich people get paid in advance. Trump doesn't wait until the building's built. Trump gets money just to agree to do the building with his name on it. So everything you think you can't do because your business is different can be done by doing business differently. And one of the best things you can do for yourself when you go home, this is homework. Candy Crush will wait. Sit down and make a list of every industry norm. Every single one in your business. Every one of them. Small, large, don't make any difference. Then lock yourself in a room until you can figure out how to violate every single one of them. Now, the first good news about that is you will piss a lot of people off, which is almost as much fun as making a lot of money. It's right there. It's right there. You will aggravate peers. I have people from the speaking business from, 36, 37 years ago. They're still mad at my violation of industry norms. Most recent thing I did is I co-authored a mystery novel. And here's what happens if you go to a writer's conference. So I'd never done fiction. I've done tons of nonfiction. Never done fiction. And bucket list item, it's right there between sex with Angelina Jolie, which I have permission. Well, look, my third wife is my second wife. I got it right the third time I married rich. You can catch up. I'll wait. My third wife is my second wife. I got it right the third time I married rich. Just think about it. Right? So this last time we have a prenup, and that's one of the clauses I have in the prenup is if Angelina Jolie shows up naked with a pizza and laryngitis, I am allowed. Okay? So bucket list item was doing this mystery novel. Okay? So if you go to a writer's conference, here's what you see. You see the establishment, which in the writing world are literary agents. And you will see a panel of them up in front of the room telling all the writers and the would-be writers what the rules of the road are. I recognized it immediately because I had seen it 30 years ago in the speaking business. And I've seen it in the consulting business, and I've seen it in every business. Every business my clients are in, every single one of them has the same deal. They have a bunch of establishment figures who have somehow wrested control, perception of control of the industry, and they sit on panels at meetings and tell everybody else the rules of the road, which generally begin with groveling and kissing the butts of the people who are up there on the panel. And then there's 67 other rules of how things are done around here, all of which have this in common: slow. So they all have in common. I said, I don't like this plan. I got a better idea. There's a guy right where I live who's a successful mid-range mystery novelist. I'll just go to him and write him a check to be a co-author of a book. Boom, done deal. Leap right over this whole process of industry norms. How many of you know what a sleep number bed is? Everybody, right? You know why you know? Because at the beginning, those guys said, we're just going to skip the entire mattress industry, distribution, retailing system. We're just going to run ads, send people a DVD. When they order the bed, we're going to ship it to them. And if they don't like it, we're going to take it back. That's why you know what sleep number beds are. Because they ignored every industry norm. How many of you have been to Disney World in the last, year or so? Oh, not as many. You guys got to go. You should go. None of you are getting younger. You go there. It's kind of like a cruise ship, by the way. You see a lot of really old. You'd think you'd see all kids. No. You see a bunch of old people in the little power carts you can get for free because government pays for them, and they're being pushed around and stuff, and they're old, and so there'll be like a 80-year-old guy in one of them drooling, and next to him a little baby in a stroller drooling, both of their heads slopping from side to side. You should go, right? And you should go like, tomorrow or the next day. And one of the things you're going to see So one of the things Walt did first is, contrary to every amusement park that had ever been built, one entrance, one exit. There's only one way in and one way out. Okay? All other amusement parks had been built with open architecture. Okay? He's the guy who did one entrance, one exit. Know why? 2 shots to make a sale. You come in and walk past a bunch of stuff to buy, and you leave. And you can't leave without walking past a bunch of stuff to buy. Imagineers figured out a way to apply it everywhere. So when you go to Disney now, when you come off an attraction, you don't come off of an attraction, in case you haven't been there and seen this. There is like no exit. There's a giant gift shop, which has been designed by the same guys who do the floor plans for casinos. See that aisle there, that direct path to the back? There ain't one. So you have 3 kids, and you have a maze, and you have just come off the Star Wars ride, and you have to navigate from here to there twice in a zigzag pattern through 6 million Star Wars items of merchandise. What chance do you have? Furthermore, they just invented the band. No money, no credit cards, no nothing. Kids grab the stuff, you go up to the register and go beep. Just like casino chips. You not think of it as money. You realize that about 3 days later, every one of them beeps was about $300. What have I done, right? So he violated the industry norm. I have a client, some of you know them, Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft built a giant software company, violated all the industry norms initially. They were what's called a host parasite marketer. So here's the thing. Anybody who tells you you can't do business the way you want to do it because that's not the way it's done, that's the worst reason of all not to do business the way you want to do business. Because most successful people in every industry have found ways to dramatically violate industry norms. How many in here have a Mac of some kind, an Apple product of some kind? Good, I own stock. God bless you. One of the reasons they've become, I think now, the most valuable corporation in America, in the world, good, even better, is because, probably interplanetary, what the hell, is because Jobs did his own stores. Violated industry norms. That's not how computers are sold. You don't have your own stores. They got their own stores. So before we get out of here tonight, by the way, I'm going to give you an extra book. I'm going to find a way to give you an extra book, the ultimate book on autonomy. So here's a little secret. It has to do with autonomy. If you want to make a leap, if you're a 7-figure person and you want multiple 7 figures, or God forbid, you're a 6-figure person and you want to get to 7 figures, you don't get there. You don't get a 3 times multiple, a 7 times multiple, a 10 times multiple just by running faster and harder. You don't get it by doing 3 times more of the same stuff. You don't get there by doing 7 times more of the same stuff, 12 times more of the same stuff. You get there by doing different things differently. So we'll start with how we sell. I call this my 3-step sales system that changes everything. So let me start with a story. This is many moons ago. I lived in Phoenix, Arizona, and for those of you who don't know, in the summer, it gets hot. They used to say it was a dry heat. It's really not anymore. By the time I moved away, everybody from Michigan had come and they planted grass and trees and shit. No desert left. And so the humidity level now is like Florida, for God's sakes. But at the time, it was still, when I was there, it was a very dry heat and very hot, 110, 115, 120 degrees in the shade in the summer. That's just important background. So I'm at home, and I had an office then, a commercial office that people worked in, but I never went there because I aggravated them, they aggravated me, it didn't work out. So I'm at home, And I'm on the phone with a client. I'm sitting at my kitchen counter. I got an iced tea, which I was supposed to have an iced tea. I don't think I have an iced tea. But I got an iced tea, and and I'm on the phone, and I'm in an intense conversation with the client, when someone at my front door at, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a weekday begins to ring the doorbell very insistently. At the time, pretty much that was either an Avon lady or a Jehovah's Witness working late, because usually they start in the morning and they knock off by noon, but some of them carpooled. They all came in the neighborhood at the same time together. So I decided to ignore them. By the way, that joke, I did a version of that joke for 9 years at every one of the success events. I kept waiting to offend a Jehovah's Witness, and we finally managed to offend an Avon sales manager who was upset. So anyway, so this person's ringing the bell, but, like any pest, as you know, if you ignore them, they will go away. And I'm good at ignoring people. It's one of my best talents. So I've just raised my voice, carrying on my conversation. Pretty soon he's ringing the bell and banging on the doors. I had these double wood doors, and he's banging away on these doors. And this is an incredibly annoying pest. But still, I'm confident that if ignored, this pest will go away. And he does, ever so briefly. Then I'm at the kitchen counter. I look to my patio doors. This guy has come around to the back of this house. He has climbed over a high masonry wall with shards of glass embedded on the top to discourage this behavior. And he is now banging with both fists on my patio doors. This is the most annoying pest, like, ever. Got to deal with him now. Go, open the door. What? He says, whole front of your house is on fire. Now, it is at this point that this person goes from being the most annoying pest to the most welcome guest to ever visit the Kennedy household. And it's important you understand why that is. It's because he was there with a really compelling message. Hey, stupid, your house is on fire. And he was there at just the right time, when the house was on fire. Now, timing's in marketing hard to control. Only difference between salad and garbage is timing, but still we can impact it. But message we can certainly control. And so the reason, if you aren't welcomed as a welcome guest, it's because you are in the wrong place with the wrong message at the wrong time. It's not their fault, it's your fault. So the first step in a great sales system is figuring out how to be a welcome guest, which in professional businesses is about being a trusted expert authority who has a compelling message that is timely and relevant to the person you are delivering the message to. There is no point in playing the game any other way. This has to come first. How can I be a welcome guest, not an annoying pest? We have these conversations all the time. I had a consulting session with a client earlier today, and the same thing comes up. How do we get past the gatekeeper? B2B marketers and sales professionals have this picture in their heads of, the castle and the moat and the alligators and the receptionist. Right there where the drawbridge is. And they are trying to figure out how to sneak past the gatekeeper, how to dress themselves up like a horse and get past. How do we get past the gatekeeper? No, be a welcome guest. Gatekeeper has to let you in. Second, which we're not going to talk about tonight, but money loves clarity, is creating a box around objectives. And third is having the right to prescribe. So when I started in the consulting business, the first big breakthrough for me, a guy by the name of Kirby Landis, who's a consultant in the healthcare professions, Kirby said to me, if you're going to be a consultant, you have to pick a persona. I said, okay. He said, well, you got to be something. You got to pick a persona. And he said, there's about 20 to pick from, but if you want to save a lot of time and energy, I'll just tell you the one I use, which has worked out really good for me. I said, okay, tell me the one you use. He says, you want to be a stern but loving parent. They need to know you care about them, but you can't take any of their shit. Because people really want to be told what to do. And if you think that's not true, just look around. What has been welcomed into every automobile? An annoying talking thing that tells you where to go. Everybody's in love with these things. Can't read a map anymore. Read a map? No. Thing will tell me where to go. Everybody loves these things because they tell them essentially what to do. Anybody wearing like a Fitbit? Most of you don't look like you're wearing Fitbits, but there's one. Some of you probably don't. So there's all kind of apps now on your phone, whatever. There's one that actually literally shocks your ass if you've been sitting in a chair for too long without standing up. So it shocks your wrist, not your ass. But I suppose you could. Anyway. And it tells you time to stand up. You've been sitting too long. People can't wait to buy these things. No. People want to be told what to do. Right? So stern but loving parent gives you the right to prescribe. And the right to prescribe is very, very powerful. So let's say, God forbid, later tonight, after we've talked about resources I have for you, and after we've done the cocktail party, you are feeling poorly. Sweating, chest bothering you a little bit. So they take you over to the Dock-in-a-Box place. You know, it's between the liquor store and the tattoo parlor and the convenience store. It's the retail urgent care place. There's nobody there who hardly speaks English. But you go, and the doc checks you out a little bit, and he says, you need triple bypass surgery right now. You may not immediately disrobe and lay down, because you're in the urgent care place between the liquor store, the tattoo parlor, and a convenience store with a barely English-speaking Korean gynecologist who's moonlighting at the urgent care center. You may want a second opinion, even though you're sweating and your chest hurts. I think I'd like a second opinion. I may want to wait, go home, watch Dr. Oz, see what he has to say in the morning. I'm not so sure. If, however, you have those symptoms in Cleveland when you're visiting me, and you go to the Cleveland Clinic, and they bring in one of the top 10 heart doctors in the country, and he checks you out and says, you need a triple bypass and you need it right now, you're probably putting your bare butt on the metal cart saying, let's go. Same procedure, same diagnosis. The only difference is who's doing the diagnosis. So we're going to get to that. That's pretty important. So here's the 4 requisites for welcome guest status. Being invited in. Number 1 is status. Who you are perceived to be. My friend, my new friend, who discovered the whole front of my house was on fire, see, he had status. He was a rescuer. He has status. Okay? Experts have status. So status. Attraction, not pursuit. The more you have to pursue somebody, typically the more they put the gatekeeper in front of you, the more they try and avoid you. Information, not stuff. And dramatic urgency. He had information and he had dramatic urgency. If you don't have these 4 things going for you, you can be in trouble. So let me give you a little, I call a mind hack, a little mind hack you can take home with you for dramatic urgency. This is just one of many ways to get it, but it has to do, thank you. If that's the worst thing anybody does to me the entire time I'm here, we're good to go. So here's one of the ways to create dramatic urgency. Okay? Nobody wants to live in Loserville. Now, some people don't necessarily want to do better. Sometimes it's surprisingly hard to motivate clients, you've probably found this, to make their business better. But understand, nobody wants to live in Loserville. So I'm going to show you, and then I'll read it for you. Just one page. I had a client for a number of years. His consulting company was the #1 consulting company on employee and delivery man theft in the convenience store and grocery store industry. Now, what you should know is the employees and the delivery men steal. Combined, they steal 3 times as much as shoplifters. 90% of them steal, although many of them don't think of it as theft. And employee and delivery man theft is roughly double the net profit of the owners. So if you own 10 supermarkets, you have all this capital investment and all these employees to manage, which I know you guys love doing, and all these headaches and all this perishable inventory and all these government forms to fill out and all these taxes to pay, and you have a partner who has to do none of that and gets twice as much money, and that's the employee and the delivery man theft. So this now is dramatic urgency. This is part of a very important, very beneficial, very profitable prospecting letter that we use to get people who owned supermarket chains to pick up the phone and call him. I'm just going to read it for you. Your employees and the delivery men coming in and out of your store are stealing you blind and laughing at you behind your back, and I can prove it. Yes, they do think of you as an idiot. They steal from you with impunity and joke about it with each other. Together, they're taking out as much as your net profit, but they have no loans, leases, inventory, spoiling, investment at risk, or employees to manage. They're your silent partner in for 50% of the profits with 0% of the problems, and they think it's funny. In fact, you are paying them to steal from you. At least the shoplifters who steal 2/3 less aren't also drawing a paycheck, health benefits, and a 401k. This is called unsubtle. And this gets a reaction because nobody likes being laughed at behind their back. Nobody likes being in Loserville. It creates dramatic urgency when you put it in front of people. So, here's one of the most important things you're ever going to hear about money. There's 2 tonight. One is more specifically about money. I'll point it out to you when we get to it. But here's the first one. Life is so much better and you're never blue when every person is predetermined to do business with you. Predetermination is a wonderful thing. So I'm in Las Vegas with my wife, and because she won't let me go to Las Vegas without her. So I'm in Las Vegas with my wife. By the way, that's why I do all my meetings in Cleveland. It's for the benefit of the people who come, like you. See, because if you do them in Vegas, okay, guy has to go to the wife and say, I got to go to a 3-day seminar in Las Vegas. She says, no, you don't. If he goes and says, I got to go to a 3-day seminar in Cleveland, she says, well, heck, go ahead. Suffer. You deserve Cleveland. So I'm in Las Vegas with my wife, and we're in the car museum at the Imperial Palace. It's not there anymore, just closed. But if you've been, and you know there's a car museum at the Imperial Palace. And what you should know is I did not have any need for another car. At the time, I had a regular car I drove, a very nice Ford Explorer. I also owned some classic cars, which I still own. So this is a 1972 AMC Javelin. It's rare because it was a terrible car, so very few survived. So I have that. I have a 1963 Lincoln Continental Town Car convertible. Like if you watched Entourage, this is the car they all got out of on the front of Entourage. If you didn't want Entourage, this is the car JFK didn't get out of. Too soon? Really? So I didn't need cars. I got these. I got a Jeep Wagoneer from 1986. I got a regular car, and I have a 2-car garage. So, not good. So I don't need another car. We're just killing time. So we're going up and down the aisles of the bed. Here is Dean Martin's Rolls Royce. Now, I won't bore you with the details, but I'm a big Dean Martin fan. In fact, I haven't really listened to any music since. So we stopped. Carla knows I'm a big Dean Martin fan. We were looking at the car. She has a little doodad. I don't, by the way. I do not own any of this crap you guys got. But I refuse to wear a leash of any kind. But she has one. And it takes pictures and makes toast and plays music and everything else. So she takes a couple pictures of me with Dean Martin's Rolls Royce. And as we're starting to walk away, it looks like this. But by the way, right there, that's me in it. She says, you're going to buy that thing, aren't you? She says that you're going to buy that thing, aren't you? To be 100% candid, it had not yet occurred to me. It would have, but it had not yet occurred to me. But since she suggested it, so I said, of course not. I don't want a Rolls Royce. It's pretentious. What am I going to do with it? We can't get the cars in and out of the garage now. Of course I'm not going to buy it. And we took about 10 more steps. I said, but just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to go ask if it's for sale. And if it is, I'm curious how much it's selling for. And when I came back, I had bought it. Now, here's everything about that that's true. I would never buy a Rolls Royce otherwise. It is pretentious, right? One of the places I drive most is over to the barn area of the racetrack where we have working people working. First time I drove it over there, one of the other trainers said you should take the Rolls Royce hood ornament off of it and put a big gold third finger on it, because that's how this feels to the rest of us. I said, well, it's not my point. Yeah. But so I don't want a Rolls Royce. I really don't have any garage space. I didn't want to buy a car. But I wanted that one because it was Dean Martin. Therefore, the price didn't matter. I would have paid more than they asked. I don't know what the number when I would, but they got less than they could have got. Right? Because it's the kind of thing you either want or you don't, which is important to understand when you can present what it is that you do so that the person either wants it or doesn't. And if they want it, price becomes irrelevant because of predetermination. Everything changes. So here's the $1 million life-altering lesson for the night. Change the goal from a call taken, an appointment secured, a presentation made, a new account got. Change the goal to predetermination. And conversely, if you insist on selling without first establishing predetermination, everything's going to be hard. If you figure out how to get predetermination, everything's going to be easy. We have hoops people have to jump through just to get to me. And so as people's commitment goes up, price elasticity goes up, competitive concerns go away. So I told women something about guys that you might not have known. I'll tell guys something about women you may not know. Most guys, if we go to the shopping mall, we go to get something specific. And we consider it defeat not to get it. So we often buy some version of that thing that we sort of know isn't right, and we didn't even like it when we bought it, but by God, we are not driving all the way to the mall and coming home empty-handed when we went to get an X. That's how guys shop. Women, that's why guys often come home with shit that makes no sense, right? Because we will not come home empty-handed. It's in our genes. It's all the way back to leaving the cave with a big pointed stick. You don't come home empty-handed. You spear something, even if it's a smaller, shorter, slower caveman. You spear something, and you bring it home. You went to get a boar for dinner. You come back with a rabbit. Same deal with us with the mall. Okay? We are not coming home empty-handed. Now, guys, you may not know this. Not only are women perfectly okay with coming home empty-handed, they often go to the mall not to get anything. They just go to go. It's a thing to do. It's entertainment. To us, it's torture. To them, it's entertainment. So for us, it's commitment. Right? So the more committed somebody is, so by the time, and I'm going to show you a little bit later how I talk money. By the time I am having a money conversation with a new client, this client has had to climb a mountain, ford a stream, kill an animal, jump through 6 hoops to even get to that point. They don't want to go home empty-handed. They are committed. Here's a big leverage point. Understanding why some people in any and every category, business, industry, or profession, including yours, get paid a lot more than all the others. So every business. Most people, by the way, think people in other businesses make a lot more money than they do. So they always overguess the average income of a dentist, the average income of a lawyer, the average income of anybody. They always overguess. Okay? You would be shocked, maybe. Okay? It all divides the same way. There's a few people doing really, really well, and a bunch of other people barely making it. Why? Why? Because if you understand that, so in my business, one of the things I do a lot is I write copy. I write direct response advertising copy for clients. Now you can, and there's a whole directory of them, by the way. They're not even hid. You can go find all kinds of direct response copywriters who will write a direct mail campaign for you for about $1,000. You'll find a lot who will write a direct mail campaign for you for $5,000. You'll find some pretty good ones who'll write a direct mail campaign for you for $15,000. I charge between $75,000 and $100,000 to do that same deliverable, except mine works better, but 100 times better? No, I don't think so. Candidly, I don't think so. That fee differential has more to do with who I am perceived to be to the people who are giving me money than what I do or even how well I do it. So perception is everything. So one of my training programs called the 7 Figures Academy, and here's the big thing in the 7 Figures Academy, is the last thing you ever want to be perceived as is a vendor or a salesman. Ew. First of all, people are afraid of salespeople. More importantly, they're afraid of themselves in the company of a salesperson. And vendor, here's what vendor means. Interchangeable commodity. That's what vendor means. It's just like a convenience store. The reason it's called a convenience store is people patronize it based on convenience. So if it's on the left side of the street and you're driving down the right side of the street, you just keep driving until there's one on the right side of the street. And they pretty much know. They still defy it. They try and run ads telling you they got coffee just as good as Starbucks, and they got 6 hot dogs for $1, and they got giant slurs. They try, but really, people go to whichever convenience store is on the right side of the street for the direction that they're driving. You don't want to be in that kind of a game. So the last thing you ever want to be is a vendor. I was speaking at the Advertising Specialty Institute convention. These are all the people They're a dying breed, by the way, by their own hand. These are all the people who sell imprinted stuff. The badges you're wearing, the bag that all your stuff is packed in, imprinted pens, imprinted snow scrapers, imprinted baseball caps, imprinted glassware, all with your logo on it. All the advertising specialty people. I was speaking there and I said, the first and most important piece of advice I have for you all is get out of the business you're in. This was misinterpreted by some people. There was one woman who was really horribly offended, like 16-page letter to the meeting planner afterwards offended. There were other people who got up and walked out. Right? I wasn't really suggesting they get out of the advertising specialty business. I was just suggesting they get out of the advertising specialty business. Right? Not be perceived as a vendor, not be perceived as a salesperson. We have an ASI member who's a member of our group. Their name is 3D Mail Results. And they sell the same stuff, but they package it up with expertise about how to use it in a marketing campaign. And they create marketing campaigns around it. And nobody now cares what the imprinted Dumafludge even sells for because the price is disguised and all that stuff. You don't want to be a vendor. You don't want to be a salesman. So here's a big question. How do we know a salesman in the woods? How do we recognize one when we see one? Because you do not want to be recognized as one. So here's how we know, for example, salespeople have brochures. Nobody wants brochures, except the people that have a brochure about themselves. They like it a lot. They wanted it, that's why they got it printed. But nobody else wants one. Try it. Go home, buy a full-page ad in your newspaper, say, free brochure. Put your phone number in, see how many people call you. Be very scared of anybody who does. Experts have a book. For the record, a book is made out of the same stuff that a brochure is. There's no real mysticism to this. It's paper, ink, and glue. Same shit. Okay? But it's perceived completely differently. What do salesmen have? Fancy PowerPoint presentations. I was with a consultant earlier today in my consulting session, consulting with him. They sell $100,000 to $150,000 packages to dentists. The dentist comes to him. He's really using my model, but he's applying it to a different business. And he said, I've been very, very careful to have nothing. Legal pad and a marker. They think I'm making it up right in front of them. Salesmen have fancy PowerPoint presentations. As soon as they get the laptop up, turn it on, click the thing or their iPad, you know, salesman. That's how you spot a salesman. So Dr. Roy said at the Cleveland Clinic, he said to me, I got this PowerPoint presentation that they made for all of us. He said, I never use it because that's what salesmen use. I'm a doctor. Here, let me draw it for you on a legal pad. He said, I can show it to you on a PowerPoint presentation, but you don't want to see a PowerPoint. Let me do it. Then you actually know I know it. Huh. How about that? Salesmen. They have a practiced, rehearsed, memorized spiel. That's what they have. An expert reveals a thinking process in front of somebody. Okay? Salespeople have stuff. I got stuff. Experts have solutions, and so forth. So, another homework assignment. Think about how clients spot what you don't want to be perceived as in your world. And however it is they spot that, don't do it. See, because how do we spot a bear in the woods? Well, he's big, he's tall, he's furry, he's got claws. What do we do when we spot a bear in the woods? We shoot him if we got a gun, right? You don't want to get shot. So figure out what everybody else does in your world that gets them perceived as another vendor, another salesperson, and don't do it. So let's jump to, because I'm late, the real secret that exerts more control over fees or prices and fee and price elasticity. See, fee and price elasticity is a wonderful thing. That means you can stretch it from where you think it stops, from where everybody else stops. You can stretch it. The highest pay, here's the answer. The highest pay goes to those being paid for who they are, not just, not even principally, for what they do. And the more you are paid for who you are versus what you do, the more you are paid. Hence, the Kardashians, $100 million. They're not being paid for what they do. They're being paid for who they are, who they have made themselves into. The whole pyramid looks like this. You can't see the little type, I'll read it to you. So at the bottom there are generalists, the doc in the box down there between the liquor store and the tattoo parlor, right there. Generalists. Then there's specialists. Then there are certified specialists. Somebody has said, you're a specialist. Here's a pin. Here's some initials. Certified specialist plus expert authority, all the way up the pyramid, certified specialist who's an expert authority, who's also a celebrity. Not necessarily a Kardashian, a celebrity in your marketplace. As you go up this pyramid, the money goes up for the same deliverables. It's not the what, it's the who. That's why you need to create for yourself unique authority. Changes everything. So, how many of you know what a wealth manager is? Gee, I would have thought more of you would have known. Woody Allen's definition is a wealth manager. My wealth manager is a wealth manager who manages my wealth until there's no wealth left to manage. That's Woody Allen's definition. Okay? So wealth managers, like any other kind of professional, are commoditized. There's a ton of them. A bunch of them kind of specialize in old people. So they run ads and they bring people into dinner meetings. They feed them, which is how they get them there. They lure them in with the food. Here, old people. Here, old people. Food, food. Here, old people. I think Zagula is speaking to you tomorrow, right? He comes from this business. Here, old people. Food. They come in. Okay. There's a ton of them. At a higher end, there's a ton of wealth managers. They all take a percentage of the total amount of money of yours that they manage. Not of the profits, of the total amount they manage. In many cases, that fee goes down every year until there's no money left to manage. So how does somebody differentiate themselves? See, differentiate or die. This is a client of mine. He's a wealth manager. But he's a wealth manager for people who have just sold their company or are about to sell their company for at least $10 million. What is different about what he does? Not one damn thing. But because he has put himself in a frame as a specialist for a certain type of client, he has elevated himself up the pyramid automatically. It's about who, not what. So the quantum leap is when you stop equating and confusing your business with your deliverables. We all have deliverables. It's not the business we're in. At a commodity level it is. So if you own a Dunkin' Donuts, what's your business? Donuts, that's your business. Right? And coffee, that's your business. That's a commodity business. However, as we move up the money ladder, we delink. We delink work from money, and we delink deliverables from money. Not about deliverables. That's not the business you're in. So for 40 years, one of the things I've gotten paid to do is to write copy, direct response advertising copy, for all sorts of media. Some stuff you've seen, some stuff you haven't seen. A client of mine, for example, is Proactive, the acne glop you've seen on TV. Katy Perry, Justin Bieber, etc. Okay? I got words in those people's mouths talking about acne and Proactive. That's what they paid to do. However, that's not the business I've been in. That's my deliverable. If I confused the deliverable with the business, I'd be getting paid $5,000 to write one of those ads, not $50,000, $75,000, $100,000. No. The business I'm in is the Dan business. What a friend of mine, Gary Halbert, called the self-aggrandizement business. And oh, by the way, we deliver ad copy. It's a big change. In most incomes, here's what it looks like. By the way, as you can see, I spare no expense. 10% of the money, if you go study any high-income person in almost any field, or any high-income small business in almost any field, the bigger the income, the bigger the profits, the less of it comes from the deliverables, the more of it comes from who they are perceived to be, and generally, 10% of the money is tied to the deliverables. Lowe's, you guys all have Lowe's or Home Depot, don't you? They will come put a kitchen in. They'll send a designer over. You can have granite, you can have marble, you can have countertops made out of dead midgets and elks. You can have anything you want. All right? They will put a kitchen in. We have a friend who just put a kitchen in her home. By the way, the more expensive the kitchen, the less they cook. And in case you don't know it, so you know there's all these celebrity chef shows now and Rachel Ray and the Food Network and all that. So here's something, guys, you may not know. That's women's porn. Okay? Martha Stewart is a pornographer just like Hugh Hefner. Okay? That's women's porn. Their relationship with it is just like yours with porn. They're watching a bunch of people doing really exotic and interesting things that they are never gonna do. That's the deal, okay? So, let's have another money conversation. Let's talk about price. So let's talk about price or fee. So most people are price or fee cowards. That's why most people only make 10% of the money they could be making for the same deliverables. I've had more impact probably by fooling with price than anything else I do for clients. Because most people are price and fee cowards. They're just really chicken shit about it. All right? So Carl and I are at Disney World in Orlando, Florida. And we're at the Food and Wine Festival. So they have this big food and wine festival at Epcot. And they got a lot of free classes with celebrity chefs, and they got paid classes and stuff too. And so this is for Carla, this is like, me going to the Playboy Mansion. Same deal. So we're at the Food and Wine Festival, and she's going to these free classes. So she's in a free class for about 40 minutes. It costs me, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, 12 grand while she's at the free class, because I buy stuff. I mean, I dropped her off at the exhibit, walked her to the exhibit thing where she was going to the class, and I didn't even she probably wasn't in a seat before I was in front of the Cutco knife guy. And they're great knives, by the way, but they're like, I don't know, $2,000 for a set of knives, and I never buy one because you want to put another one away in case you break, so I always buy 2 of everything. So I spent Cutco knife money before I even got out of the thing. But now I'm loose for 40 minutes walking around Epcot, right? And I come upon a stunning thing. It looks like this. These are not great pictures. You'll have to strain a little bit, but it's a little stand, and there's a person there, and there's 3 different sizes of rubber balls with Mickey and Goofy and stuff on them. And so I'm now got my iced tea, I'm standing off the side, I'm watching. And they've trained the people somehow. They're picking people. I don't know how they're picking them because it's not all kids. It's not people with kids necessarily, but has some people walk up toward this thing to go past it. He or she bounces the ball to them. What do you do if I bounce a ball to you? You catch it, and then what do? You bounce it back. The person bounces it to you again. You're now playing catch, right? You were planning on playing catch, but you're playing catch, right? So I watch this again and again, and here's what happens now after you play catch a couple times. You walk over now and hand her the ball, right, because you want to stop playing catch. And then you say, I watched it happen over and over and over again. You point at the big ball, and you say, how much is that? And the one I watched, and then I watched a bunch of others, so they all must have a class. So personal injury lawyers, they go to a class, and they have to practice until they can do it. So if somebody comes in their office and says, my whole family was just run over by a train and everybody's missing a leg, the person has to keep a very straight face, the lawyer, and they have to very sympathetic, oh, that's horrible. Then they can go in the restroom, which they have soundproofed, and they go, cut-ting. So these Disney people must be going to a class because she, with a perfectly straight face, says it's only $200. This is a rubber, I'm going to show it to you again. Well, I'll show you a close-up, okay? Here it is. It is a rubber ball, okay? It's a rubber ball. She says it's only $200. Here's what everybody then does. I watched it over and over and over again. They point to the middle-sized one and say, oh, how much is that? She says, that's only $95. It's a rubber ball. I want you to think, I want this in your head when you quote like an hourly rate to somebody. Okay? So, 95. And then sometimes they'll point to the little one and say, how much that? And they'll say, that's only $59. Then what immediately jumps into my head is, obviously the $200 ball is a red herring. Nobody buys the $200 balls. It's to make the $95 ball seem reasonable. No. Person buys 2. I'll take a big one and a small one. I'm watching this astonished. Right? So I go back to get Carla, and I have my hands full, because these are flat. You don't get a ball, you get a flat one. Yeah. You have to take it to the gas station. You don't pump it up. Oh, there's an upsell, by the way. The ball's got a 5-year warranty, but the bladders inside go bad. So you get a package of 10 extra bladders so you can keep fixing the ball. So I got this pile of these flat balls because I thought, well, we got grandkids, And once in a millennium, they come visit. So I got 6 big ones, and then, they might not all want to play with a big one. So I got 6 medium ones, and I got a small one for the dog, because we have a small dog. So I got this pile of these things. Oh, and I got bladders. Of course, you got to have bladders. And unfortunately, you're in an amusement park. It's not like there's no place I got them. Carla says, what are those? Well, that is not the worst question in the world, right? I mean, they're really cool rubber balls. They got Mickey and Goofy and Minnie on them, and they bounce real good, right? The bad question is, how much were they? See, this is not, and it's really not a good question from a very frugal woman, which Carla is a very frugal woman. We have 2 houses, and when she goes to the other house, one of my things I do immediately, because we have in the refrigerator door, there's like 210 bottles of salad dressing, each with 2 drops left in them, turned upside down, right? The only way you're getting salad dressing out of most of these bottles is if you take a bite of lettuce, put the bottle in your mouth, and suck real hard. That's the only way you get a salad dressing. So I throw all of them out, and go buy new ones. And our freezer has, one odd tinfoil wrapped object. God knows what it is, but Heaven forbid. So she's a very frugal woman. So see, there's no good answer to this question of how much did those cost. There's no answer. The best answer I had was a lot less than the Cutco knives I bought. That's the best answer I had, okay? So here's the thing about price, okay? Prices all live in context. In this case, it's place. You can't sell that ball for $200 in Walmart. Can't do it. I don't care what you do. Can't do it. It's impossible. Right? Neiman Marcus, maybe, but who the hell buys a rubber ball at Neiman Marcus? Right? At Disney, you can sell it for $200 all day long. It's about context. So you should never think about price or fee outside of context. Then you have a choice to make. Here's the big choice. You can let others set the context, or you can create your context. When you create the context, you get to make price and fee elastic. The insidious cancer of bad price strategy, first of all, it becomes an ism, becomes an addiction. People who are price cowards and fee cowards and underprice and don't aggressively price and don't assertively price, it becomes an addiction. The more you do it, the more you do it. Pretty soon you can't not do it. You swear to yourself, this time I'm not going to cave, this time I'm not, but you can't do it because it's become an addiction. It sabotages your ability to recruit and have great people because you can't afford to pay them. It undercuts your ability to deliver top service because you can't afford to do it. It puts you at an advertising and marketing and selling disadvantage. It even makes it harder to create equity. So bad price strategy is a very, very bad thing. Price starts inside your head, in what athletes and sports psychologists call the inner game. That's where price starts. And we project onto other people our own thinking about price. Can be a lot of crap in your head about price, and money listens to you. So if price was rational, everybody would price shop everything on the internet. You know, all you got to do is hold your phone up by the barcode. Everybody knows how to do it. Here's the current stats. Age 25 to 35, 15% of the people do it on a regular basis. Age 50 to 65, 3% of the people do it on a regular basis. And age 65 plus, 1% of the people do it on a regular basis. Now everybody thinks everybody's doing it. No, everybody's not. If price was rational, everything in B2B would be bid. And everybody thinks everything's being bid. No. Fortune 1000, under $5,000, only 2% put it up for bid. 25,000 to 100,000, only 7% deal in bids. 250,000 to 500,000, only 11% deal with bids. If price was rational, there'd be no Keurig coffee maker. It's $185 a pound. Plus, you're going to get a carbon footprint tax for the little plastic cups any day now. As soon as Gore figures out that you're using them things, he's coming to your house. There's 3 goals for the presentation of fee or price. 3 goals. That it be accepted as reasonable, that it be believable, and that it be made irrelevant. So, I'm going to show you a little mind hack. I'm going to show you a thing about price and fee that's very cool. It's called the power of rationale. It's from a whole manual of mine about B2B and professional services. Okay? This is a behavioral science experiment that took place. Person comes up and says to copy machine, I have 5 pages to copy, may I cut it in front of you? 64% said go ahead. They said, can I cut it in front of you because, and 94% said go ahead. Magic word is because. Right? Power of rationale. So let me show you very quickly why I never get questioned, never negotiate, never get questioned. Probably been 20 years since anybody's hassled me over my fees, which are substantial. Part of my process is you have to pay to buy, right? Just like Disney. All right? Got to pay to buy. Got to pay to get in. What happens to you when you get in? You buy stuff. It's like a Tupperware party with an admission charge, with a door charge. Right? Same deal. So the only way you buy from me is you come to me for a day of consulting, for which you pay either $19.4 or $18.8, depending on whether you're a new client or a returning client. We'll use $18.8, okay? So here's what's important about that. We have a pre-existing established agreement that one day of me is $18,800. The pre-existing established agreement of a base value to calculate from is very important. Because at the end of the day, when we figured out all the stuff you need, it looks like this. Let's see, you need 4 video sales letter scripts. That's going to take me 2 days. Now, I put this so you could read it, but I usually do it on a legal pad. I get up, go into my office, get a calculator or a legal pad, and come back. The 4 video sales letter scripts, that's going to take me 2 days. 4 lead generation, direct mail, email campaigns, that's going to take me a day. Let's see, the main sales letter is going to take me a day. The downsell follow-up scripts, all that's going to take me 2 days. And research and prep is going to take me 2 days. It's 8 days times 18,800, which we already agreed to the 18,800. So that's $150,000 to $400. And since I do it all at one time, there's some efficiency of doing it all at one time, because I don't want them to ask me to do it one thing at a time, 38, which arrives at $120,320. And they watch me do it right in front of them. And because we had a pre-existing value base to start with, and it all sounds reasonable, the amount of time it's going to take, at the end, everybody says, okay. Some gulp, but they say, okay. That's a mind hack for fee. One last price thing before we move on. It's one of my favorites. I have to show it to you. How many of you know what civet coffee is? We don't have a very affluent crowd here, do we? So civet coffee, it exists, okay? And civet coffee is $85. I'm just going to show you. There's a bunch of them, but this is a website, so you know it's real, okay? Because it's good for you. Okay, it is $85 for a 4-ounce bag. You can save by buying a pound for $320. Here's what civet coffee is. It's made with cat poop. Literally. Swear to God. They feed the coffee beans to cats. The cats poop. They use the poop to make the coffee. When the co-author of my price strategy book sent this to me, I went upstairs and I kicked the dog. I picked her up, I put her right here, I said, pay attention, you and I need to have a little talk. This is a big deal. $320 a pound for cat poop coffee. But it's all about the context. So, here's one more mind hack about price. There's 9 things everybody's always trying to figure out. Okay? Number 1 is authenticity. Is this guy for real? Number 2 is believability. Is he telling me the truth? Number 3 is credibility. Is he knowledgeable and competent? Does he have a track record, et cetera? Number 4, feasibility of relationship. Can I see myself working with this guy or this company or this provider? Number 4. Number 5, does he offer customized solutions? Or is he just peddling stuff he's got in the wagon? Number 6, safety, security. Is he reliable? Can I trust him? 7, comfort. Do I understand enough about what he's going to do in my company? I don't want to know how to do it. That's why I'm getting him. But do I understand enough superiority now that I've been alerted to this thing, this solution, this category of service? Am I making the best choice? And number 9, value. Am I paying a fair price? Price is 9th. Here's where most people put it. Right there. At best, they put it here. Sellers. Most merchants, sellers, marketers, service providers, and professionals, they move price all the way up to 1 or 2, and they worry about it as if it was 1 or 2, not 9. If you get the other 8 right, the 9th is very elastic. Very elastic. So, how you think about all this determines what you bank. All sorts of other things are necessary. We have to exchange service for value and so forth. But where it starts is how we think about these things. So homework, you need to think, first of all, about how do you think about you? You worker bee? Are you from the be your own boss crowd? You basically want to do this stuff but not have a boss? Are you a business owner, operator? How do you think about you? How do you think about what you provide in exchange for money? Is there differentiation? So often people will say to me, well, we don't do anything unique. I say, well, do you have any tall buildings in your city? Yeah? Pick one, jump. End it all. Well, there's nothing unique about what I do. Well, jump then. You're just sucking up a bunch of air, taking up a bunch of space, getting in everybody else's way while they're trying to make money. You're part of the traffic jam. You're not part of the solution, man. If you can't figure out how to say that what you do has differentiated value, jump. You can't accept that from yourself as an excuse. Go home, lock yourself in a room, figure out how to differentiate yourself, and best of all, create your own world order. This is tricky. You can't change the way you think about these things, especially the way you automatically think with information. That's the fallacy of information. It's good to have, but it can't actually change the way you think. It really doesn't even change behavior. So how many of you have ever met a fat doctor who smokes? What, you think they skipped that class? You think they don't have the information? The combination? Let's see. I'm fat, obese, got diabetes, got a bad heart, I'm in a stressful profession, and I smoke 3 packs a day. You think they didn't get the memo? They're still fat, they're still smoking. They got all the information, all the information. No. It's how you think. You can only change the way you think with thinking. Different thinking changes the way we think, which allows us to create different outcomes. So, I had a good time. I hope you did. More importantly, I hope you got some value. And more importantly, I hope you saw a demonstration that there's a lot more in here to get, and you will want to get some more value. I'll see you at the back of the room. Thank you very much.